Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of the Gen 6 Camaro. It has had a 7-year run. It has now been officially confirmed it will be discontinued. And from day one, from the first video I made on this channel about the Camaro, my goal was to make owner videos. Not, I borrowed the car as a press car for the weekend, and I'm going to stuff in this compared to everything else. This is not compared to anything else. This is the Camaro as it is, as to buy, as to own. For those of you that have owned and experienced it, you will more than likely agree with all of my points. So today, part one, we are going to start with the pros list. Number one pro of the Gen 6 Camaro has got to be styling. If you took the badges off, you smoothed over the grills and the headlights, and you just took a body mold of the Gen 6 Camaro and you placed it with a body mold of the Challenger, the Mustang, BMWs, all these different cars, it becomes pretty painfully evident how sculpturally beautiful the Camaro actually is. I didn't really appreciate it. Like, I always thought it looked cool, but it wasn't until I got it beside a Bullet Mustang, which had side skirts and a front splitter, and it was sitting on magnetic ride. It had kind of all the same bells and whistles. Money aside, it was car for car. And it wasn't a color thing or the way the grills were. It was just a proportions thing. The Mustang looked kind of like a Ford Taurus. Like, the nose was too short, and the hood was kind of bubbly, and everything was kind of rounded, and you really appreciated the subtle nuances of the Camaro, the styling, and what GM has actually put together for the Camaro. Point number two is comfort. As somebody who set a Canadian record with a disability, I was diagnosed with systemic juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I have it in 18 joints, diagnosed at 11 months. I spent a year in sick kids in Toronto, another 11 years in the hospital, and it's been a long fight. So my hips are not good. They've never been good. Road trips have never been my friend. Mattresses, couches, public transit, just things that involve comfort just really do not jive with me. So buying a performance car as a comfort car was a little bit absurd, but it is. For not having lumbar, having very basic adjustability in the seats, it has been one of the most comfortable vehicles I've had the opportunity to spend time in. The suspension is a little firmer because it is a sports car, but the MagRide does a good job of buffering that out. I haven't spent a lot of time in cars without it, but the time I did spend, it was also quite enjoyable. But it's just the ergonomics, the seating position, the way the seats are designed, the little bit of hug. They're not super aggressive. They're not big, flat, poofy 90s seats, as many of you may remember. The comfort of the car is really, really shocking, and it has been the most enjoyable experience I've had of any vehicle, getting from point A to point B over the course of several hours. I think the longest I spent in it in a day was 13 or 14 hours, and I got out feeling just fine. And pretty unlikely, even in a lot of the new Cadillacs and stuff, that I can spend 2 or 3 hours without getting out and feeling quite stiff. Another pro for the Camaro is early adoption of CarPlay. I thought it was very interesting that in 2016 it came as a standard feature across all the cars. At that time, I know 7 years later, it's become more of a standardized thing, but at the time, it was like a $1,500 upgrade in a lot of Mercedes and BMWs and Audis. Some of them required monthly subscriptions. Like, it just went on and on and on. The Camaro just had it, and it was pretty shocking. It was quite the, like, oh yeah, your car doesn't come with that? Mine does. It's a Chevy. Like, what are you doing? Number four, performance. Let's be frank. The car's fast. The car's quite fast. Its 0 to 60 time, I think the best I ever got was 4.1 seconds on a drag strip, which obviously is not GM's record of 4 seconds flat. But rear-wheel drive combustion cars have a lot of factors: temperature, tires, everything, even down to the day. Endless amounts of things that can or cannot affect the 0 to 60 time, but it was fast. It was fast around the track. It was fast on the drag strip. It was fast in the streets. It was fast in the windies. The car is just really, really fast. And the last point, number 5, because I considered myself to be a bit of an oddity when it came to being a Camaro owner. I really do like the car, but I've never treated it as anything more than a car. So my fifth and final point of owning a Camaro as a positive feature is the ease of driving. It has lots of power, it has lots of brakes, it has very agile steering, but it is not hard. It is not hard to figure out. It's not hard to get the handle of. And I've put probably 150 people that have never driven sports cars in their life behind the wheel, and I let them take it out for a drive, and they all came back and said it's just so fun and easy and accessible. That does not mean it cannot get out of hand very quickly, but nobody had an issue with that. Everybody found it very, very approachable, very accessible. When they did get maybe a little quicker than they were comfortable with, the brakes were right there. The brake feel was good. It wasn't jerky, or I don't know. Sometimes brakes just have a weird engagement point where it's kind of grabby. Nothing. It just is a really great overall get in, push the button, drive around, park it car. It's really, really great. So those are my top 5 pros for the Gen 6 Camaro. For those of you that have owned, rented, driven, friends have, I would love to know what your top 5 are. And maybe if we can get a really good list, I'll put together a master list of all the best things about the Gen 6 Camaro now that it is leaving circulation. Till next time, drive safe, take care, and behave, as always.